Hajime, welcome back to Comic-Jutsu. JT McRoberts here, and I'm joined today by
Phil K.
Welcome back, denizens of the Comic Book Dojo. I didn't tell you that, Phil K. By the way, we upgraded from citizens to denizens of the dojo.
Okay, denizen.
There are different levels, yes.
Okay, that's a Patreon for the future.
Yes, the casual members are citizens, but once you get hardcore and you get into the upper levels of dojo foo, as we like to say, then you become a denizen of the Comic Book Dojo. So today we have a special treat for our denizens out there, and we're going to take a look at the origin of the sensational Black Panther.
T'Challa. No last name.
From Fantastic Four, 1965, I believe. I have a couple printings of this. This is on the table. We see the facsimile version, which I just picked up a couple weeks ago, and I've had this for several years. The reprint version from Marvel's Greatest Comics, and these were originally published, I believe, in 1972. Okay. So it is the same story. None of the artwork is altered. The pagiations are off a little bit.
Okay.
Some of them are kind of swapped, but I don't think it really affects it too much. They didn't make any egregious errors where they revealed something too early. But for the most part, it's the exact same story. They just don't have the nice Jack Kirby cover. They replaced it. I guess this is a John Buscema, or it might be Sal Buscema. It's hard to tell. It's that standard Marvel style, and it's got what looks like a Joe Sennett kind of Jack Kirby style inking, heavy inking on there. And I also have, as you can see, the essential version, which is in black and white, if one wants to compare and or contrast. We are probably going to use the 1972 reprint for today, just for purposes of the camera, because it looks the best on the screen and doesn't have as much glare. Though I love to look back at these old ads, and I wanted to mention this first one. Jiu-Jitsu!
That's right. With the I.
Yes, the Portuguese spelling, I guess. Yeah. And since this is 1965, and the Portuguese spelling of Jiu-Jitsu appears, this has to be because of the Gracie influence in the world. I mean, there's no other prominent Jiu-Jitsu styles out there, from that time. So you too can be tough. Master Jiu-Jitsu, and you'll win any fight, it says.
That's right.
This book gives all of the grips, blocks, etc., which are so effective in counterattack. Free book on how to perform strongman stunts also included. So it's like jiu-jitsu and
strongman.
Yeah.
How to be alpha.
All in one. So who
Fight
knew?
and be strong.
$1. I mean, that could have changed somebody's life. Can you imagine that? So yeah, 1965. And we joke, but we always like to mention fighting styles because it's interesting to see what styles our favorite heroes use and whatnot. So I was taking a look back at the classic Marvel Universe. I bought these off the rack as they were released. And I tell you, they were really some of my favorite comics at the time, because you could go through and get these heroes and villains complete histories and stories in a distilled format. And you're just like, oh, wow, that sounds cool. That sounds cool. And you'd read about everything that happened to them, and especially with the deceased issues.
The physical stats, how tall, how fast, the attributes, how tall, how strong, their height, their weight, everything.
All of those. For example, it says here strength level for the Black Panther is near the pinnacle of human physical perfection. He can lift, press a maximum of 750 pounds with supreme effort. Supreme effort. I like how they word that. And here they go on to say no superhuman powers.
Yeah.
So besides his heightened physical strength, the Black Panther possesses the speed, agility, and endurance of a gifted athlete in peak condition. He's particularly accomplished at gymnastics, acrobatics, brachiation, which is swinging from one branch to another using one's arms.
Really? He's Tarzan. He's like a Mo, can he?
Yeah.
Later they change because they make him way faster, and then he has enhanced senses.
Yeah, I mean, they mention his herb and everything in here, but they don't talk too much about. Well, they do mention his senses here, okay, but they don't consider that superhuman. They just consider it like peak human physical. So the five senses are highly acute, although not superhumanly so, like Daredevil's. He has night vision. Using sight and smell, the panther can track a quarry's trail through the jungle up to 12 hours later.
But that's not superhuman.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds superhuman.
You can just smell their funk.
He's a masterful natural fighter. His fighting style does not belong to any established martial arts discipline. I thought that was interesting, but he obviously has martial arts. But incorporates acrobatics and a number of cat-like stances, moves, and blows. And I love this example art that they use here. He's got a damn rhino almost in a side headlock. That's crazy looking.
So early Black Panther, he was always leaping a la Beast Spider-Man, kind of. Then later on, they, amped up his fighting skills with more technical prowess.
I reread this issue leading up to today's episode, and I really enjoyed the introduction of this character. I mean, they set out to really focus the Black Panther and to really establish him as a unique character. Love this splash page introduction here. You've got the ominous Black Panther lurking overhead. He's gigantic over the Fantastic Four, though, but they're looking around, clueless as to where he is. And it starts out with Reed is flying what I thought at first was a Fantastic car, but it's actually a Wakandan aircraft that was gifted to them by the Black Panther. So it's pretty interesting. So he uses kind of a Trojan horse invitation to invite them over. They receive an official invitation to come visit. Here they go to great lengths to explain the advanced technology of Wakanda. So it's really interesting. I mean, especially considering that this was all created by Jack Kirby and Stan Lee, another Flex Mentallo appearance. Mm-hmm. Fantastic setting and background work there from Jack Kirby. This is in one of the classic Wakanda entries, I think, in Marvel Universe or something. The image of the Panther totem rising up. And this may be the issue that, we fully interact with Wyatt Wingfoot. He might appear in an issue before this. I'm not certain. I didn't look the numbers up or anything, but this is where he first really fully interacts with the Fantastic Four. So it's interesting stuff. Johnny has gone off to college. The rest of the Fantastic Four go and catch up with him to tell him that they've been invited by T'Challa to visit Wakanda.
T'Challa Johnson.
No
last name.
T'Challa Johnson. It's last name Chala, first name Ta. The B story involves the Inhumans. They're trapped in their mountain getaway. It was on the other page.
Is it Wundagore Mountain?
No, it's not Wundagore. That's the High Evolutionary.
That's High Evolutionary, yeah.
There's a lot of hidden things out there in the mountains. Inhumans, Kunlun, everything.
Kunlun Mountains.
It'd be interesting if they were all the same place and they didn't know it. But anyway. So that's the B story that you see kind of weave in and out of the Fantastic Four storylines. And this was really kind of one of the unique elements of Stan and Jack's Fantastic Four, in that they were telling these long-term stories where you could just drop in on a set of characters that have no other roles beyond these pages in this issue, but they're going to take over the storyline several issues later.
Interesting helmet.
Yeah, it's a king's helmet there. And what about these binoculars here? Look at this thing.
That's some Jack Kirby.
Yeah, it must be like miles away, like continents away. They're just showing how advanced they are. They can't have just a standard set of binoculars there. Yeah, classic stuff. This is Karnak. Is what he's doing is he's training to try to break the unbreakable field that contains their city, that their city is trapped behind. And they're like, you'll never be able to do it. And he's like, once I find its weakness, nothing can withstand my blow. Nothing!
Link. The Inhuman who doesn't have any powers.
And here, they make mention of the lush jungle looking so primitive and no sign of civilization, but then reveal that that's just kind of a
Techno.
just the outer image and perhaps even a hologram that's hidden by that helps hide the city. And then they burst into this sector where everything is technological. Like Stan goes through great lengths here to explain that everything you see here is actually supposed to be representation of something organic, but in a mechanical way, like flowers and branches and trees, but they're all parts of computer dynamos. He was trying. He was swinging for it.
Technology, boy. Well, later on, they call it, I don't know if they call in this issue, though, with the techno jungle, almost. He designs it.
They just say a jungle. It's truly a jungle, but like nothing ever spawned by nature. It's a man-made jungle. So they don't exactly say techno jungle, but they set it up. So I think it's interesting if you read the words where Stan kind of emphasizes what's going on. And as soon as they land, like Reed is paranoid. He's like, I don't like this. Why would they invite us to fly all the way over here? You know, that's funny. The old white man is suspicious of the black folks.
Anyway. Sounds suspicious. Let's go find out. This is a horror story.
Well, they like that hover car, I suppose. So they see. Hold on. Is there a page missing? Oh, there is a. No, it's not. There he is. They go, "Fool, you'll never reach me." You just barely see it. So they don't establish. I guess this is T'Challa, or maybe it's just a servant, because he immediately appears as the Black Panther from above. So he sinks down into the floor there, and Thing says, "Oh, we better grab him. You won't get away," because he's trying to get away. So obviously you have to chase him. It's like my cats. Like if I pretend to run, they'll chase me. That sort of thing. But he realizes it's a trap. He failed his perception check there. He gets shocked. And I like how he explains here. Those electric volts have caused a chain reaction in his blood cells, which will weaken him for 5 minutes. That's all to the time the Black Panther shall need. Wa-cha-cha!
And just speaking the third person, you know you're awesome when you speak. You call yourself.
I know, he's like Roy Jones.
Roy Jones.
He's a peak human specimen there.
You understand what Roy Jones be doing?
Yes, he's like the original Roy Jones. And here, he's using techniques that are outside of martial disciplines here. This double kick there, that would definitely be something difficult to pull off. Though not in, I guess, Taekwondo,
especially knocking down someone who weighs at least 500 pounds.
Yes. Well, they do explain that he was weakened. So
yes, they're still heavy. Though.
Weakened. Yes. Definitely.
For 5 minutes,
still heavy.
Get my special mixture.
So this is pretty standard Marvel stuff, where it's just kind of like where if characters run into each other, just the slightest misunderstanding will lead to fisticuffs, or they all start chasing each other.
And it's glorious. Don't ever stop doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
We need the heroes to fight each other, even though no one usually wins.
That was a Marvel Universe hallmark for certain. So here he is ducking Reed's punch, and then
dodging.
Johnny is blasting his fireballs at him, and he jumps out of the way and lures him into this trap. He says, "Ha ha, you reacted just as I knew you would, plunging headlong into the fireproof trap I've so carefully prepared." So
he's like Batman.
Yeah, he is. He prepared for everything. He just prepared to hunt the Fantastic Four. They even go so far as to say that at one point.
2 steps ahead of his enemies.
That he is hunting. And there, once inside, Johnny is trapped, and he is subjected to vacuum blasts, putting out his flame and weakening him. But this is just standard Jack Kirby combat here, breaking down into 6 panels or 5 panels here. You've got the breaking from the 6-panel format. It gives that double kick, that extra oomph, because you've established this pattern, and then boom, he pops out, and he lulls you back into that 6-panel pattern there. And then the Black Panther goes back into the hunt stealthily. But they did not count on Wyatt Wingfoot, who puts his ear to the ground. we're using Native American tricks against the African tricks here. Notice how Stan, like a proper colonialist, is pitting the two native tribes against each other.
I'm sure that vibranium ground, they absorb those vibrations.
Yes, it is. But yeah, so Wingfoot says to the thing, he says, don't tear it up. He says, I'll track him for you. And he runs off to track him.
Versus tracker.
Yeah. But it's interesting. I mean, this is 1965. They're really going to great lengths to feature, people of color in really positive lights. I mean, the whole issue is meant to build up the Black Panther, but then also the wild card is Wyatt Wingfoot. Here you have see more of the advanced technology of the Wakandans, and they explain that they have their polarity guns. They've been specially designed to deal with the Fantastic Four. And boy, oh boy, does Stan really overload these panels. I'd be interested to see what Jack wrote in the margins as to what those things were supposed to be, because usually Stan tried to go against he always tried to one up whatever Jack wrote and kind of go beyond it or around it or whatever. Yeah. But it makes them fly apart from each other.
Separate.
So, as they're being forced apart, Reed says, Sue, turn invisible! So she turns invisible. But here's where we learn that the Black Panther can track. Because as she starts to run invisibly, he hears her. And though a panther might not see you, do you think he'd fail to hear your soft footfalls? As he follows behind her. He's right. My only chance is to stand stock still. And I outsmarted him by standing near this pulsating generator. So she stands still and he walks past, but then he stops and turns back towards her. I applaud your cleverness, Ms. Richards, but you overlooked one thing. Even a panther cannot hear his victim. He can always detect the scent. He turns around and leaps on her, where he realizes between panels that she turns visible because she's going to use her force field, so he jumps on her. So it's very, very Batman,
right?
Planning ahead type of thing. And here you see more
knockout gas,
more of the tech. Just they really loaded Black Panther up with all this tech. I mean, he's not just a guy that is running around fighting. I mean, he has a full array of resources. He's almost like a supervillain with a whole army behind him. But he's exactly. But he's a good guy. And here you see those cat-like reflexes and mimicry. And again, here he goes, there the thing is, refreshing himself by washing his face at what seems to be a fountain of crystal clear water. But he says, I trust you've enjoyed splashing a dangerous amount of devitalizing fluid upon yourself. Again, I wonder if that is Stan, kind of flowering this up a little bit.
Of course.
That liquid is but one of many traps I've prepared to sap your strength. Sap it just enough so that we can battle hand to hand. For in any equal match, the Black Panther is certain to win. So he's weakened him again inside of that 5 minutes. So
but he's still punching a being made of rock.
That's true.
And he's 5 or 750. I can't remember how much he weighs.
It's a bit of a stretch because I was looking at.
It shows how his prowess in terms of combating.
I was looking at Thing's abilities, and it says that he can withstand the explosive effects of armor-piercing bazooka shells, 15 pounds of high explosives against his skin with no injury. So,
and how much does he weigh? 500? Yeah, 500.
Yep, 500 pounds. So, so you're stretching it just a little bit, but he mentions that he was a boxer here. He says, among other things, I have long been the boxing champion of this entire continent. So there, in the first appearance, they mention the fighting style.
So basically, in all the continent of Africa, he's the boxing champion.
Yep. So this is interesting because it looks like he's actually blocking a body blow or something here with his elbow. It almost looks like the thing was throwing a body blow or coming at him or something, and he's blocking it with his elbow. And And he comes back with the uppercut. So to me, this says, the thing is still human beneath his armor, where if you could like hit weak points or whatever, when he's weakened,
Right.
you can take advantage of that. So he catches him with an uppercut. Thing's still weakened, tries to rip up this nearby apparatus, but he's too weak here. So this is actually a good visual way to show that he's weak, because normally he would just, in one panel, he'd just rip it up like a toothpick, and splinters would be flying everywhere. He hits the Black Panther, who shows his resilience there by taking the blow.
Because the Thing, if I remember correctly, is a accomplished boxer himself, I believe.
And wrestler, yes. Comes back with another... No, he's just kind of jumping out of the way there. So he ducks out of the way there. So you see a lot of the animal movements and ducking and bobbing and weaving from boxing. So here he tricks him into running into this machine again, kind of an attack by drawing. And
you are paralyzed.
Yes, it looks like he's electrified, but in the words it actually says he's frozen. So I think Stan was trying to mix things up a little bit again there, because you see this nimbus of energy around him. I mean, it clearly looks like he's like being electrocuted or something to that effect. So here you have Wyatt Wingfoot playing the scout out here, sneaking around, taking out the Wakandans. Here's Jack Kirby drawing upon his experience behind enemy lines during World War II, sneaking around. And that's kind of the interesting thing about this issue, is that they definitely set out to feature the two of them. And what throws the balance off is that Black Panther had prepared for everyone in the Fantastic Four, but he was not prepared for Wyatt Wingfoot, who is the unknown element. So here he goes to take out Reed, and he uses the element of darkness. He shuts out the lights.
Boom.
And pretty much just boxes him up so he can't take it.
He has his night vision.
Like the Panther itself. But, okay, so it kind of happens a little bit off screen there. So then Johnny shows back up, and he blasts at him with his flame blast.
Because he freed him.
Yeah, and they show that he's freed the rest of the Fantastic Four. Because of that, you can see here that they've literally surrounded him here in the frame. They've got T'Challa there at the center of the bottom of the frame. He's surrounded and defeated. And he said, "You overlooked one factor. Sometimes a man with no superpowers can tip the scales for or against you." So there you go. There's your moral for today, kids. And then here in the end, they make up. And he reveals that he was testing them. As you see me, hereditary chieftain of the Wakandans, and perhaps the richest man in all the world. But it was not always so. My tale is one of tragedy and deadly revenge. Next issue, The Reason Why. So they knew how to build those cliffhangers in there.
Gotta get you coming back. Gotta get you coming back.
Here they include a small-sized reprint of that original cover, which we see on the facsimile edition. So Black Panther, when did you first encounter Black Panther? I think I saw him in probably the Avengers. I mean, he popped up in the Avengers.
I guess Perez, that
era.
late,
Yeah.
His late, I think I started reading on that late in his run, or saw some of those issues. That's when I first saw him. He would have appearances here and there. Mm-hmm. I didn't become a fan until the Christopher Priest run and the Marvel Knights series.
Yeah.
That's what made me a fan. But he would have appearances in the Avengers. That's what. Mostly in the background, looking around and doing a super leap here and there.
Well, he had a few issues.
I don't have a lot of those issues, those Avengers issues when he's prominent on the team. I haven't read those.
Yeah, but I always basically saw him as like just another Captain America kind of running around and whatnot.
But in Avengers, I don't think they had him using the tech like this.
No, not like this.
He was just
not at this level. No, he just. Yeah, I think they kind of bumped up his physical abilities just a little bit more so he could
But even like the gas in the, from the gloves.
Yeah, you don't see that.
You didn't have that.
Yeah, and there were, I can't say there was any defining run of his individual comics. I mean, the Kirby stuff was kind of strange in the late 70s, and it seems like there were some other things here and there. But yeah, it was really the Christopher Priest run that really kind of took it to prominence. We might have to take a look at that one day soon. So anyway, so there you go. Wakanda Forever and all that. There's our look at the origin of...
A Nazi child forever, just saying. I don't know.
Of the Black Panther. Pain.
Just saying.
Yeah, we'll have to examine that one day. So anyway, Phil K, where can people find you on the interwebs?
Well, I'm on Instagram and on Twitter. Twitter is at FatJitsu, FATJITSU. That's where you find me.
All right, and you can find all of my links down below here for Comic-Jutsu. Thanks for watching. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know in the comments if there are other issues or fighters or specific fights that you might want to see us break down. All right, denizens, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
And you too, citizens.
Mate!